Um, Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. Thanks for joining us for this session. We wanted to kind of introduce some interesting partners who are doing interesting work for our community members, Indus community members, and so that you can not only see innovations that are coming out of SAP, but also innovations and interesting stuff that our partners are doing as well. This has been a request both from the community as well as the Indus leadership team. And this is the first session in the series. We have Chandra from Maventic. He heads product development and is vice president for products at Maventic. He's going to take us through a solution that they've developed, which is called Maventic TrackIT. So without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Chandra so that you can take us over through the content that you've prepared, and we will follow it up with some Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you for a short and a quick introduction. So let me introduce myself. I'm Chandra. I've been a part of Maventic for the last 15 years. I've been working in multiple roles, and currently I take care of product development within Maventic. So I started my career with SAP Labs. So I've been with SAP Labs for about 8 odd years. So I've been with SAP for the last 21 years. Yeah. So that's a quick introduction about me. I wanted to quickly introduce our product, Maventic TrackIT. So the whole genesis of this product started out with various engagements that we were doing with a few customers. Where we were trying to get a certain integration done with warehouse integration, automated printers, and so on. And that's when we also kind of understood about the GS1 requirements that are coming in from pharma industry and so on, barcoding and all that stuff. And that's how the whole the TrackIT product started. So before I get into from a quick perspective of what do we mean by traceability, basically getting to trace the history and the location of every product that we manufacture. And different organizations, industries need it for different reasons. Like pharma might need it from a compliance perspective, while a consumer durable organization might need it for their warranty and customer tracking functionality and so on. So overall, the tool should support us to generate a QR or generate a traceability for every product and record a movement of the product that is from the manufacturing location till it reaches the end of the customer. So that is basically what we try to address from the TrackIT solution itself. Like I was talking about, different industries need this traceability. Pharma, food, fertilizers, some of the key drivers for them are stronger compliance needs that are driven more by recalls, traceability of where export scenarios and so on, and also certain integration with government aggregators. India has certain portals like Dawa or iVeda portal, while export to certain countries require certain information to be shared. While we also see that other organizations like consumer durables, home appliances, auto parts, they need it predominantly for managing customer warranty. Some of them also look at influencer management, like one of the large industrial paint organizations. They were looking at for incentivizing the painters, the architects, and the other stakeholders involved in the sale process. Also loyalty for customers, as they buy more products, as they scan, they get points which they can redeem it for certain things. So these are also the additional use cases that comes along, as the traceability requirement keeps enhancing. So that's basically where the things that are coming in. Typically, when we see from an organization's perspective, there are quite a few areas that the traceability addresses. Some of the key areas we have tried to list down. It helps you to understand who your customers are. Your customer scans the QR, registers themselves very easily. You get to know who your customers are. You can do certain demographic profiling. You can, come out with campaigns, upgrades to them and so on. So these are some tangible benefits that organization can see. Quality improvement is another area that you could look at. In case if there are complaints coming up, you could trace it back to the batch. You could trace it back to the vendor where it was manufactured. So you can try to take the root cause to address what needs to be done. It also gives a supply chain efficiency because you have a full view of where your inventory is lying, how much is sold, how much is not sold, where is the material moving, and so on. So this also gives a very clear picture in terms of how I should structure my production. Where is my stock lying? Should I run certain campaigns? Should I run certain discount offers in a certain region? So that I can push my products. Brand image is also something that is quite important. A lot of us now are tuned towards ordering online, buying items from different locations and so on. So one concern is basically the genuineness of the product that we receive. So if the customers could scan a barcode which can authenticate what is my product, when was it manufactured, lets me register to the website quite easily, that is going to kind of ensure a better customer adoption as well as a better customer experience. So these are the typical benefits that an organization can see when they are trying to enable customers on the traceability journey. From a customer's perspective, if you see, the trust in the product is quite high. I am kind of comfortable once I know the genuineness of the product. I can provide quite a lot of additional features along with it. If I'm in the shop, I can scan the QR to see about the product. I can see a video about the product, so I get to know more about the product and I can be influenced on my purchasing decision. As well as service registrations, warranty registrations, all of that also becomes quite easy. So those are the benefits that the customers see. And it is not just about the customer and the organization, the entire supply chain, your dealers, your distributors, your influencers. And when I say influencers, it could be architects, it could be painters for a certain industry, people who influence the deal, fertilizers, there could be people who could advise the farmers to sell these fertilizers. So they can also be kind of incentivized while scanning these QR codes and so on. So this way, the whole traceability could be built in to address quite a few important things that an organization needs to address. So coming back, so this is more the context of what is in it for the customer and the organization when they set up the complete traceability. So the way we have tried to structure our solution, TrackIT, when we talk about a typical manufacturing, we see that the following personas are there, right from the warehouser, manufacturer, to the warehouse, to the distributor, to the retailer, and to the customer. So we have a solution. It's a combination of a portal-based application, some components inside SAP, as well as certain mobility applications that addresses all of these personas who can basically interact with the system and enrich the traceability journey of the product. When I started off, we've been an SAP shop ever since we have started from 2006 onwards. We've been working with a lot of consulting and implementation engagements with SAP. So one of the idea that while we are trying to build the solution is to build a very strong tie with SAP. So we have at each persona try to bring the SAP touch points. What are the different touch points? Who are the entities, and what SAP objects do they interface with? So we have, when it comes to a manufacturer, I could have my own factory. I'm the OEM who's manufacturing it on my own locations, or I could be doing it with vendors. So that way, purchase orders and production orders are the starting point of where the whole traceability journey starts. Now my vendor can give me an ASN or an advanced shipping notification that this is the material that I am shipping to you. I can also, while I'm scanning the product in the factory, I can also do a production order confirmation, and then I can backflush to ensure the raw material consumption, and the production process can also be completed over there. So these are the typical touch points that come up from a manufacturer's perspective, which could be a vendor or it could be a OEM. Then when it comes to the warehousing part of it, I mean, I could have my own warehouses, and I might classify them as a mother warehouse or a national distribution center. One of the warehouses which probably handles a lot of from all your vendors. And then you may have your regional and spoke warehouses where you're moving the materials from one location to another locations for reach across the country where you're operating. So typically, warehouse has an inbound process and an outbound process. Inbound happens via my goods receipt. So I'll be doing a goods receipt to get in material in, or I could be getting returns. These are the typical, documents that are talking about the inward process into the warehouse. Outbounds could be through sale orders. These are where I'm selling to my distributors or my dealers, or I could do stock transfers. I mean, I'm moving materials across my different national warehouse and my regional warehouses. So I'm moving stock closer to the point of delivery so that, I could fulfill the needs quite faster. Now, the one interesting question that could come up here is when it comes to warehouse. SAP has a SAP warehouse management or a EWM to manage warehouses. So our solution basically works with both. If you have a EWM or a warehouse management implemented, or if you only have the inventory IAM implemented. So the solution can work with both scenarios. So we would be able to scan based on a sale order delivery PGI, or we could be able to scan on a sales order delivery transfer order and a PGA. So both options are supported from our solution perspective. Then, the material typically moves out of my organization. So when I have done a sale order delivery, it moves to my long tail, it moves to a distributor. And this could be a chain. I mean, I could have multiple entities here. I could have a distributor who sells it to a dealer, who sells it to a stockist. So all of these people in the chain will be able to scan. So that is where the solution is structured in a way that they can scan as saying that I'm receiving the material, or they can scan saying that I'm shipping the material out. So that in basically adds stock into them, and out basically reduces stock from them. So that makes it easier for all of these entities who are in the hierarchy to scan. And what we also do is that for distributors, where you are selling through sale orders, we also get a proof of delivery document back in your SAP system. So that greatly helps you to track what material have you shipped, has it reached the distributor, were there any damages or were there any dead on arrival scenarios that the distributor has received. So that kind of ties up the entire process from the warehouse to the distributor, and from the distributor proof of delivery back. So this entities distributors typically work on mobile applications. The mobile application is a hybrid application that could run on Android or iOS devices, and it can also run on rugged devices with inbuilt scanners. In case, and depending on the volume, certain retailers or certain stockists who are on a very small volume could use a normal mobile phone to scan, while distributors who have very large volumes could use rugged scanning devices, and they can scan the material that is coming in. The system can understand whether whether you are scanning. And see, while we talk about these shipments, you would have a packaging strategy. I mean, you would have a retail carton, and you would have packed, saying, let's say 10 retail cartons into a shipper, and maybe 10 shippers into a jumbo carton. So depending on the kind of product, depending on the kind of the size of the product and the weight of the product, different packaging strategies come in. Pharma, we typically see mono cartons, shrink wraps, and then retail cartons coming in, and so on. So that way, our solution is capable of generating the QRs at each level. So you can have a QR at a retail carton level. You can have a code, a specific code at the outer carton level, and anybody can scan any of the cartons. So automatically, system will identify that, okay, this is a retail carton, and this is supposed to contain 4 pieces of your item, or this is a jumbo carton which is going to contain 20 pieces of it. So automatically the count and the validations that are needed for that would be taking place. And at a manufacturer level, we also allow you to link in case the line supports, you can link that, this retail cartons have been put into this shipper carton. So that way, the linkage is maintained on what retail cartons are present in what shipper carton. So that, the scanning becomes easier. It's not that everybody has to scan the individual boxes. I can scan at a outer box, or I can scan at a inner box level. So that is more up to the chain of the distributor or the stockist. And then, we come to a retailer or a customer. While when it comes to retailer, we support little different scenarios. Retailer can, while he's making a sale, he can register the, installation request could be done, especially consumer durables like a geyser, where you would like a water heater. I mean, if you want to create an installation request, you can directly create it from there. So that will make it easier for the customer that, they don't need to separately call up and do the installation request. And the retailer also captures the customer information. So that way, as an organization, we get to know who is the buyer. We get to know the correct warranty also, because as soon as the retailer registers, we can calculate what is the warranty information for the product, and we can also do the installation for them. So retailers have an app through which they will be able to do this. You can also make use of the same application if you're like a modern store, and you have certain dedicated people for yours. So let's say you are a consumer durable, and let's say you have tied up with a certain modern retail outlet that I have my own person in the store. I mean, who's going to guide the people who are coming into the shop and so on. He can carry this app. He can give information to them. He can capture the customer information. He can capture a lead, that so many people had walked into the store, so many demos of the product I gave, and so on. So all of that can be done through the same app itself. So that, kind of gives you certain input in terms of, what kind of customers are coming in, what kind of product is getting traction, and so on. And our solution is compatible, that it supports API-based integration, that you could take this information out of this to your CRM system or to your service fulfillment system in the backend, where you will be able to kind of fulfill the service request or the installation request, or take it to your CRM system from where you can follow up on the lead to the customer and try to close the deal. So that way, this could be a kind of a starting point for, the longer scenario where you can take it across the customer. So this is basically what we cover from a TrackIT solution. Like I was talking about, it is a mix of portal-based solution and a mobile-based solution, so that each of these personas involved are kind of addressed, and they cover all of these features.
And so question here is, on what technology is it based on? Is this developed using SAP technologies? Is it developed using non-SAP technologies? That's one. Second is, how does your product handle breakage or damages? For example, if a particular retailer finds a particular product in a particular packaging to be damaged, how does that kind of go back to the manufacturer, and how is that handled?
Yeah, okay.
Let's say a pack of 5 in which 1 is damaged. So
yeah, okay, yeah. So see, I'll first take the question about the damages first. See, we have a functionality in the application called as a break shipper. I mean, typically, this is a very common scenario, especially consumer durables. Some of the dealers might call it like a dead on arrival. I mean, this is a product that, as they open up in their shop and they realize that, there is some damage, the product, either the carton is damaged, the product is still good, but the carton is damaged, they may still not be able to sell that, or the product itself is damaged. With this break shipper functionality, you will be able to scan the box, and you will be able to scan the individual item which is dead on arrival, and you can mark this QR code saying that this product was damaged. So this information comes back to us in the central server that, okay, this particular QR item is already damaged. And then whatever is the return process that they follow physically, they courier back it to either one of the distributors or to my warehouse. And the warehouse can take a return order in SAP that these materials are coming in. So that way,
the same app. Using the same app, they can scan it and
using the same app, they can scan it and they can mark saying that this is a brake shipper, and they can also mention the reason that is it a carton damage or is it a product damage, and they can but they may not return it immediately. They may want to collect a certain set of damages together and try to ship it back to the warehouse. So again, the warehouse, when it receives it, can create a return order, and system will validate against that, are these QRs. Were these valid QRs that were generated from our system, and then it will let you do the return part of it. Yeah.
And how about the financial part of the transaction in terms of giving them
the credit
refunds,
notes,
credit notes, and all of that?
So that basically, since the solution is fully integrated with SAP, the current process, whatever an organization is following from the refund process, basically will be taken into account. There could be 2-3 different strategies what the organization might follow. They might do a replacement, which means as soon as I receive the defective piece, I ship an additional piece back to the dealer or the distributor so that they can continue, or they could basically give them a credit note in terms of the equivalent of it. Yeah. So depending on how they have set up the system, the system will basically continue. So their normal SAP process can continue and close it. Yeah.
And pilferage. So if they say that the quantity in the order says 5 or 50, and they only receive 48, so how do you handle that?
Yeah, so this basically is a question where if the distributor is scanning the 48, let's say that he is supposed to receive, we already know that the warehouse has scanned the 50 pieces what the distributor is supposed to receive. So we already know that which are the 2 that the distributor has not received. So that product is something, the QR, we already mark it saying that these QRs are kind of lost, so that anywhere in the system that it is getting scanned again, we'll be able to kind of track back that this was kind of was reported that the distributor has not received it, and so on. So that way there is a reconciliation report that will basically tell me that these were the 50 items that was given to this particular distributor, and these are the ones that have not been received by the distributor. So at any point of time when anybody scans it, we'll be able to kind of trace it back to saying that this was marked missing. Yeah.
So maybe you can answer the question around the technology on which this was built, and then maybe we'll go forward.
Yeah. I'll also kind of quickly touch upon briefly. The solution is very closely integrated with SAP. So there are 2 parts to the solution. So when we talk about the different entities who are involved in this, there are a few entities who are the organization's own entity, like my own factory, my own warehouses. And then there are entities who are outside the organization, like my distributors, my retailers, customers, and so on. So the way we have structured our solution is that there are 2 parts to the solution. There is one part of it that is built inside SAP using SAP technologies. I mean, that is ABAP, gateway-based interfaces, existing integration with your purchase orders, usage of BAPI, and so on. So this part of it basically covers all the personas who are in the organization, who are part of the SAP system itself, like the warehouse and so on. While when it comes to the team which is outside, which is the distributors to the retailers who are carrying the mobile app and all that stuff, we have a platform, what we call as Procify. The platform is built on Node.js and JavaScript, and could run on any RDBMS backend. So the mobile application is built on UI5 as the Open UI5 as the front end, and is wrapped on a Cordova container. So that way it's a hybrid app which all of these people can use on their Android or the iOS devices, and it collects the data into that consolidation server. So we have a separate database where all the data pertaining to the distributors and the retailers and the customers come and reside here. So these are the 2 broad technology set that we use from an application perspective.
So a follow-up question on the technology itself. Right now, cybersecurity seems to be top of mind for all customers. So how secure is the data that you are holding in this central repository that you talk about? Are there any certifications that you have for that?
Yeah. So the solution is VAPT certified. That way, all the vulnerability, in terms of how the data is stored, what is the encryption level, what kind of ports are exposed, and all that stuff are already addressed in the VAPT certificate, as well as our solution is OWASP compliant. So typically the top 10, the reasons where all of these, cybersecurity loopholes and things where the solution itself is hosted is addressed by that certificate. And from an individual customer's deployment perspective, after we deploy it at a customer, that is again, VAPT certified, so that the connectivity to the SAP of the customer as well as this is all, ensured that there are no loopholes. Only the intended, recipients can address it, and so on.
Okay. So the next question then is around the dashboards themselves that the organization might have. So I'm assuming that you already have some dashboards and pre-built reports that you have available, which customers can use to, number one, figure out what material is in which part. And so can you show some or share some insight on that?
Yeah. So the solution comes with the pre-built reports. There are a few operational reports that we have, and these operational reports are very persona specific. Like a warehouse team would have a very operational report in terms of, what are my ASNs for this week? I mean, if I'm going to receive some stock, how much of material, what material is coming in, and so on. So that way, the retailer has some few quick reports in terms of the number of installation requests that he has raised, and so on. So these are little operational reports that are available as a part of the app or the portal that each persona can use. And apart from that, we also have certain dashboarding reports for the OEM themselves, where they can kind of look at, where is my stock lying, what is my stock aging. So these are already available as a part of the solution itself. And right now, as a part of the next release, what we are also working on is a map-based visualization. So we would just like that in case all your warehouses and some of your distributor locations are geocoded, we would like to show it on the map in terms of what material is lying, what is moving from where, and so on. So that's the next release that we are working on right now. That will also be available as a part of the product by June this year. Yeah.
Is there also a possibility for a distributor to look at a particular product which he doesn't have in his stock, and to find out which other warehouse or which other distributor has the stock?
The functionality is available, but that is up to an authorization that you can enable for them to look at it or not, because it would depend on the organization's policy that if they want this information to be available on search, the distributor can still go back to the warehouse will have the capability to look for it. Or if you want to enable it directly at the distributor level, feature is available but can be controlled through authorization that should this be exposed or not. Yeah.
So one persona that I'm missing here is that of the salesperson. So do you have anything that an app or something that a salesperson can use as well to figure out whatever he needs to do when he goes to a retailer or a distributor? Or is it just purely a supply chain?
No, like I was talking about, when I was talking about the, the iBase and the CRM, part of it, so we provide API integrations. What we were, looking at from a salesperson's persona perspective is that we will provide these APIs so that the salesperson who's carrying a CRM app with him, where he's going to take orders from the distributors, or he's going to take orders on behalf of the distributor from the retailer, he gets to see the stock levels of the distributor as well as the retailer, that what is the stock level. See, a lot of times when the salesperson, as you rightly asked, that when he's at the distributor level office, if he knows what is the stock lying at the distributor, then he is in a better position to tell them what they should buy, how they should buy, and all that stuff. So we were trying to provide the API for it so that it can coexist with the app that he's already using. Because a point which was coming up is multiple apps, one app to look into the stock, one app for me to take the orders numbers and other things were also getting a little complicated from that perspective. So what we were looking at is that we'll make use of an API. So there's an API already available, and this could very well be used to integrate if the salesperson is already carrying an app with himself. Yeah. And the same is for a service functionality. Like if a customer is raising a service request, he can scan the barcode, he can raise the service request, which is through an API directly pushed to your service platform. So in case you're running a fresh desk or you're running something else for your service tool or a C4C service cloud, it doesn't matter what is your service fulfillment system. We will call an API to that system and push the information back into that. Yeah.
Okay. So I started asking questions. I'm assuming that you don't have any further slides.
There are a couple of more slides. There are a couple of more slides. Yeah, we can just quickly go through that also. So this is basically, trying to quickly talk about the overall process flow. So we are talking about that we first start with generating the QR code. Then, we get to printing the QR codes, the pasting of the QR codes, a goods receipt in the system, scanning at the warehouse, and then you do a downstream sell. There could be a lot of different scenarios that could come there. You may be repacking. You may, there are bigger boxes which you may want to break it down into smaller boxes, and a multi-tier tracking, what we were talking about, that distributor, dealer, micro dealers, and so on. Then goes to an end customer, and finally, so that way, I mean, the whole, QR itself has the full complete life cycle. Just want to quickly, in the next couple of slides, touch upon little things that we support from our solution perspective, on some of these areas. The way we have structured our solution is this way, that we have this thing called, M-code management, which is basically going to allow me to define my QR strategy. So what we mean by a QR strategy is like, what do I want to barcode? And people can have multiple different strategies depending on the value of the product. High value products, I may want to, barcode them differently. Export products, I want to, barcode them differently because I may have certain regulatory compliances to do. I may want to keep it GS1 standards or the G10 standards and so on. So that way, the M-code generator is a very flexible module that will let me model my QRs, or I can also define a strategy where I want to put the year, month, and the vendor, batch number into the QR code, or I may want to just generate a random serial number. I don't want people to, guess what the next serial number to be. So I can decide whatever is my strategy that I want to. Then I have a label modeler. I mean, the label modeler basically will allow me to print labels. We also have a API based label printing. So in case you have a line printer, which can print on the line, they can be connected to this API so that as your models move on the line, the printer will get the next serial number that needs to be printed and it can print. So that way it can be generated as labels, or you can directly connect it to your label printers and take the necessary printing. And the hierarchy builder basically talks about building the hierarchy. The small box, the retail box goes into a shipper box, and the shipper box goes into a jumbo bag or a jumbo carton, and so on. So that basically is the one component of it, M-code. And the way the solution is structured, that it is not necessary that all of this has to be done in one go. We have customers who took only the M-code from us and the warehouse part. So they are right now using it only at the warehouse, and then they want to slowly extend it to the other ones. So that way, M-code is basically the first step where we do this generation of the QRs. We also support in the M-code external QRs. Let's say you have a manufacturing facility, let's say outside the country, and certain QRs are being printed there in the where they are manufacturing it. If they can give an Excel dump or an API based QRs that were printed, that can be imported into the system, and then from then on, the system will track that where is this QR, where is the serial number moving, and so on. So it supports both an external serial number as well as an internal serial number. Then these are some of the apps that we have: the factory app, the warehouse app, and the distributor app. So these are the ones that people or the user personas use it for scanning in, scanning out, so that when the material comes into the warehouse, they use this app to scan. Similarly, when the materials are moving out, they use it to scan out, and it appropriately updates the necessary backend documents, whether it is a GR or whether it is a goods issue document that needs to be done, or a STO that needs to be closed. Along with that, we have a very small retailer and a customer app. This is basically where I was talking about that a retailer could do a customer registration, or retailer could do a installation request or a service request. Similarly, a customer could do a registration or a service request. Additional supporting processes, as we were talking about, your service integration, your salesperson integration, your influencer management. So all of these basically, take the API route for all your external systems that you have. So this is how we have, structured the applications. So the serial numbers, what I was talking about is you can, decide the strategy you want, serial, random, or it can follow a certain standard like a GTIN or a GS1. And then you can kind of build your hierarchy with primary, secondary, tertiary. That will then, help the scanning, that when you scan a secondary, automatically the system will know how many primaries are there. Or when you scan a tertiary, it will know how many secondaries, how many primaries, and so on. So quickly on the architecture, it can run with ECC or S4. So this is the SAP component that we have, which is inside SAP. And this is the external component that the distributors as well as the, the dealers and the retailers use. And, it can connect via CPI or your PIPO or through gateway into your SAP from a technology perspective. Yeah. So that's quickly about. I have a few screenshots of the application also. So you can just quickly look at, your inbound GRs. This is a portal-based, application with the barcode. These are the mobile applications, where you can scan your inbound and your outbound. The way these solutions are built, if you see, is it supports a camera-based scanning. It supports the QR readers in case if it is already built into the application, or it can also support a keyboard in case if I'm a customer and I just don't have a camera, I can manually key in whatever is on the serial number that is printed on the QR, and I can basically look at it. Yeah. These are about my customer app. So I can look at what are my products that I have bought. I can scan, I can take a photograph of the invoice, upload it so that, I can claim warranty for that. I can raise a service request from the app. So these are the different applications that is there. So you can configure it that, what are the different ones. If I want to capture my address as a geolocation, that can be captured. So all of this, can be done. I can scan the QR code and I can, give this information, feed this information in. About the product. In case if I've raised a service request, I can quickly see the status of the service request also. But this is again, based on the API integration that is happening with the backend service system. So that's, a quick overview of our solution. What are the different components? And a couple of screenshots of the application itself. So it's fully configurable and customizable. So you can brand, you can theme the the application the way because a lot of organizations have their own theming. They have their color, their branding and so on. So that way it's very configurable. It has a theme editor. And then it also has a role-based, access where you can control what information is visible to and what information needs to be captured from that.
Thanks. So a few follow-up questions. Number one, within the warehouse, I know that some of these warehouses nowadays are really huge with autonomous robots carrying and ferrying products along. So does this enable for customers to view which particular QR or product is stored in which particular bin, so that retrieval and storage becomes that much more easier with autonomous robots?
Okay, so actually, see, our solution does not, have that information of where that material is located in the bin. It is the warehouse management system itself has the information. So we give the information of what are the QR codes that have come into the warehouse, and the warehouse system then says, okay, now there are 20 pieces of this product that has come in, and I'm suggesting that this set of bins products have to go to this bin. So it is interoperable, so we can query them in terms of, this is the QR that has come in, and they can tell me where it is. And similarly, I can tell what product it is, what it is, and so on. So we work hand in hand with that. But the information with regards to where it is stored is in the warehouse management system. The automated retrieval ARMS system can be integrated with it.
Thank you. Now, the second follow-up question is in terms of licenses. So how, I do not know whether you can actually share the pricing, which I may not need, but at least the metrics and the design of how you license this software is something that pretty much everyone would be interested to know about as well.
Yeah. So from an overall structure perspective, our licensing for the TrackIT product, we've basically, have it in two parts. Since, I mean, if you see from an application perspective, there are a lot of different personas who are interacting with it. There are going to be customers, there are going to be retailers, there are going to be vendors, and a lot of these, entities could be very different in numbers. Some organization might have 100 vendors, some of them may have about 10 vendors, and so on. So the way we have structured our overall model is that, there is an engine price, basically, where, this is a fixed price per, customer that we are implementing it. And there is also a certain charge that is with every QR that is generated. So that's basically the kind of model that we have. So that, that kind of addresses that, though there are multiple, stakeholders with, differing numbers and differing this thing. So that's the overall model that we are looking at from a licensing perspective. And this fixed engine cost, it includes the implementation cost as well? No, the implementation will be a one-time cost that is separate. The engine cost will be an annual recurring cost that is that the customer will be paying every year. Okay. And how long does it take for a typical deployment to happen from the time someone has licensed it? Okay. See, this will actually depend on the components that we are going live with. Since there are certain stakeholders who are within the organization, as well as certain stakeholders who are outside the organization, who are geographically distributed, your dealers, the distributors, and the retailers. We typically suggest that there is a phased rollout, that we first get the warehouse in, and then regionally you kind of enable your distributors, and then slowly take it out types. The core implementation itself, we see a 13 to 15 week timeline is what we kind of look at, which could possibly be that which will cover like a couple of your vendor locations, some of your factory locations, and some of your warehouse locations. You can maybe two of each, that they are already live. And then the organization can start rolling out to other entities. I mean, they can, take it either product wise. They can say that, okay, this is a high value product, so I want to probably roll it out for this product first. And then, or they can also go regionally. They can say, north or the south or the west. I may, kind of divide it, and then I can go ahead with it. So probably the last question that I have for you is that, can you share some names of customers who have already gone live with this and the kind of impact that this has had on their businesses? Yeah, so we have Usha International, who's based out of India. They have gone with all of these, modules that we were talking about from a solution perspective. We also worked with a few other pharma customers within India. They have not gone with all of the modules what we are talking about, but they are using it more for their factory as well as the warehouse scenario. So, I mean, I would say there are about close to 100 plus warehouses that they are using our solution with, including barcoding as well as scanning in, scan out, and all that stuff. See, there are a couple of factors what we have understood from them from a perspective is that the efficiency of their warehouse processes have increased. I mean, they've seen already a 15 to 20% increase in efficiency overall transactions from a warehouse perspective. The consumer durable organization, what I was talking about, they've seen advantages in multiple levels. One is understanding the stock levels at different locations. I mean, that's a great help for their sales team, basically, to try and look at what should be the quantity that they should sell, what is the speed with which the products are moving, and so on. So what they were earlier thinking that typically it takes X months for a particular product to sell out. I mean, they could get a complete clarity in terms of that it's not X, but it is much more than that. So they had to bring out a lot more offers and scenarios to get this in. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's all I had from a questions point of view. Thank you so much for taking time and doing this session for us. I know we've gone back and forth a few times for doing this. And even today, while Zoom says that we are live on LinkedIn, I'm unfortunately not seeing this go live on LinkedIn, but I will publish this on the Indus YouTube channel. I will then create a post and share it on LinkedIn and tag you on LinkedIn. So that if you want to kind of push it forward to your networks, I can push it forward to my networks. And we still need to do another session for with live customers in the audience. I'll come back to you on that in a few days. Would it be possible for us to get Usha to actually talk about how they are using the solution for that?
I will check out to see what would be the possibility there, and I'll revert back to you on that. Yeah.
Super. So thank you so much for your